Drug abuse has become a major concern in South Africa, more so in our coloured communities. Anything from cocaine, crystal meth, and even nyaupe, which users say can cost anything from 15 Rand to 350 Rand a gram. This is HWC Restoration Africa, a recovering rehab south of Johannesburg, where a group of men have come to fight their addiction. They're about to face the hardest battles of their lives, but they have nothing to lose. They say it makes you feel like you're on top of the world, but in the end you pay a very heavy price. Many who have lost their homes, families, turn to crime or even end up in prison. But in the worst case, they even end up dead. I have sat down with a few recovering addicts who have taken the first step and are determined to recover from their drug addiction. Okay, so Josh, tell me, where are you originally from? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Turpentine. I moved to Mondale, went to Vista High in the south. I stayed in Mondale for a few years, about 4 or 5 years. That's when I started smoking weed, like a lot. But I would always work and smoke. So I never really relied on my parents too much. But they never were happy with me doing it because it sort of changed me a bit. So what happened was, my boss, where I was working, he referred me to TAG, which is in industrial. And I was there for about 4 or 5 months. And then I left recently in December. I was like, I had enough. I want to see my parents now. I'm sure they have my back because I look better, I picked up weight, you know what I mean? But it wasn't the case. I phoned them and they told me that I must go back. So I had to go back. And then they brought me to this rehab because they said it would be unfair to the other guys if I just left and had a day to myself and just come back. I could have done drugs or something else. But anyway, so now I'm here at HWC and this is my second month. At the end of this month is my second month.
So how would you describe your childhood? Did you grow up with both your mom and your dad?
Yes. I would say my mom kept me very closed off from everybody and to herself. So when I was very young, I would always be by myself and watch TV, play video games. I would have to always make my own fun. And then as I got older, I guess I started to play soccer because I would have a bit of a, how can I say, a frustration towards my mom because she would always be by me, you see. So I started to play ball and I started to get influenced, but not influenced in a way where I had no control over what I was thinking and what I was doing. So the people I was with would try and get me to get involved in things, but I wouldn't, because I don't know, I just had a bit of fear, I guess. So I just stayed playing ball, but then eventually I started working. And then that's when I started to go and make my own decision to smoke and to do other drugs like acid, mushrooms, cat, that type of stuff. But I never got addicted to stuff. I know it sounds like I'm in denial, but the only thing I was really addicted to was smoking weed.
So would you say that was an escape in terms of your mother keeping you hostage?
It wouldn't be an escape because I would smoke and I'd be at home and she would still come there and it would be worse now because she can see I'm high and now she wants to show me how I'm not proceeding or progressing in my life. So in a way it had nothing to do with my mom. I think I would just have my own issues that I was dealing with, and I've only come to understand them now over the past 6 months, maybe 7, 8 months, because I did have a void of a few different things, and things I'm still dealing with now, like girls, like friends, there's a lot of things, my mom as well, but yeah, I guess I'm only working through that stuff now. When I was smoked up, I wasn't working through it, I was running away from it.
So Chester, tell me where you're originally from and where did you grow up?
I grew up in Watersdorp, Soweto. It's a small colored area in Soweto.
Okay. And then how did you get to Canada or you got currently living here?
Currently I'm living with my mom. I moved last year in November. I moved to my mom's place. Reason why that I help my mom is she's also going through something, and I've learned a lot in life. You know, I have a lot of wisdom and understanding also. So I'm there to help my mom. So how I got here actually at the center.
No, like just to end it, but how? If you can just tell me about your childhood. Did you grow up with your mom and your dad?
Okay, I grew up when I was young. My mom and my dad were married. I was younger than 16 years old. I'm not sure actually, I can't remember, but I was younger than 16 and my parents, they divorced. I was still in school. It affected me a lot, you know. And when my mom and my dad's divorce, it was hard for me. The reason why it was hard for me is because my mom look at me, she sees my father. And then I always felt like I'm to be blamed for the marriage, or even if she sees me, she sees my father, and every time when she sees me, and then we have an argument, we fight and everything. It even led to questions where I asked her like, are you really my mom? Am I your child? You know, questions like that, because I was always I felt like I'm being punished, but I didn't know for what. For my dad's things, I got my father to do many things already in life, you know. And it was hard for me. Even though when my mom and my dad were still together, it was hard for me. I was abused. My father, he hit me with fists. He doesn't hit me with belts and all that. He would pick me up. You know, I was still small, you know, because I'm short also, I was small. And then he would pick me up, throw me against the walls and everything. It was hard for me, you know.
The Restoration Center is a safe haven for recovering addicts, where they are taken through a self-discovery journey through Christ, where they are taught the Word of God. Here they are taught practical skills which can be integrated into their lives outside of rehab.
I wanted change, and I was really depressed, so I spoke to my father and I actually admitted the first time that I'm using drugs. So I actually admitted of a lie, because I was living in a lie denial. So I came forward to him and I let him know that I'm on drugs. And then,
How would you describe your childhood?
my childhood days, the best. It was awesome. I had everything on the solo theater. It was really fun and inspiring, yeah.
So you'd say you had a fairly good upbringing?
Yes.
So at what point did drugs actually come into the picture? Like at what stage in your life? What age?
Start off.
Yes.
Okay, I was using drugs for 10 years and I started at the age of 17. With the 2010 World Cup, the FIFA World Cup in South Africa, the first game Mexico and South Africa, I took my first line, and since that day, I took drugs for 10 years. This is the first time being clean, like more than a month, more than 2 months that I'm being clean. Because since I started drugs, I've never been clean. Like the longest I was clean in those 10 years was 2 weeks.
So what type of drugs did you used to use?
Okay, it started with kaka, then it went to cigarettes, then from there it started with cake, and then I ended up with Molly. And then I used to smoke main breaks, the puller, now and then when I was like high on crystal. That's when I...
Yeah. Can I just ask, like, what do you think is the core, or what causes drug abuse?
Choices, your friends, your surrounding circle, attention, not having enough attention, not having that right direction, having vision in your life, just being there, lost and not knowing where you want to go, leads you easily into substances like cigarettes, just wanting to join in the clique, the crowd of the world. Yeah, makes it easier for us to lead ourselves into drugs.
So where do you get your motivation and your strength from?
From myself, from me, my vision, from like my biggest fear is not being success. That's my biggest fear. Is like me relying on my parents at the age of 25, and I'm 23 now.
What has actually helped you or motivated you or given you the strength to actually get your life in order?
Actually, I thought it was my mom and my sister actually, because they would come and visit me and I would say how happy they are. Inside I'm not happy, you understand? I want the joy, I want the laughter that they have. And then there's times when they just fight and I'm like, that is not it. But what encouraged me actually is myself. I made up my mind. Me myself encouraged myself to say, this is what I want to do. I want to live a better life, I want to have a nice life. I want to have a stable home, stable job, I want to drive cars, you know. At the age of 30, I want to have a family.
Few communities is their support groups or outreach programs for recovering addicts, so they'll have to manage as best they can. Church and the Word of God has given them structure and meaning. What type of drugs what were you taking at the time?
Crystal meth.
Crystal meth. So
Yes.
what does that do to somebody? Like, is that like a popular type of drug, like amongst the community that we're living in now, or is it just something that you
Yes,
try?
I would say it's a popular drug in the community because majority of the people is using crystal meth.
And what does that actually do to you as a
It's-
person?
It gives you adrenaline, you're hype. You don't eat, you don't sleep, you just want to party. And it actually raises, like, in your mind, you tell yourself, I can do this. That's why you get many people, they tell themselves, they're fixing cars, or they're fixing phones, and, you know, okay, you do have a capability, but you do it and then you do it half only. When you smoke it, you do everything half. You don't complete what you want to do.
So you say you taking drugs was a way of getting or forgetting about your problems and your childhood that you went through? Like with your
For me,
dad?
For me, it was an escape. It was. Because when I'm high, I forget about everything. I'm scared of nothing. I do everything I want to. Because at that time, I moved to North-South. Because I was staying with my aunt, I moved to North-South. I was staying alone, own place there, everything. And that's what made things worse, because I was having my own place.
So what was the best part of your life? Like historically, since you were small till now?
The best part of my life. It was the late nights with my dad. My dad does IT, schooling, and fixing things. He's very good in IT, that's what he specializes in. And you know, so every night up with my dad, watching him, how he's doing those things, fixing computers and everything. And that's what also drove me to like want to do IT. But I messed it also up because of women in my life.
Do you currently have friends?
Right?
Do you have friends at the moment?
I got a lot of friends. I have a whole lot of friends at home. That has been on drugs, that is still on drugs, that hasn't used drugs. So I got a whole variety. There's the good, the bad in the middle.
Do you trust anybody?
To be honest, not really. Not really. Not really. Not really. I trust in God. I trust in my own instincts, but people will disappoint you. I've been through a lot of disappointments. I was a person that trusted a lot of people, but in the process, I found it they're not true.
What was the first part of your life? The roughest part of your life?
I'll say I went through many challenges through my drug use with my father. But they still didn't love me. They didn't know I'm on drugs because I was living in denial for this whole 10 years. They didn't know. When I told my father, he was actually shocked. But the rough time was last year. So I was working at the woods. My relationship, I'm in a relationship going on for 6 years. So the beginning of last year, I wasn't like into the love. I didn't have that love for my girlfriend until I found it in when the COVID started, and then we both were working. So then I lost my job to a small incident. I lost my job, and since then I was the guy with the money. So when I realized that I have no job, no plan, no nothing, I didn't have that income coming in, so like I saw the real people that I could trust and not trust, so my relationship went down. After I committed myself to love this girl, it went down, and then my situation with me and my mom, she found this new guy, so me and him, we don't have a relationship basically, but she fears that I'm not coming to interrupt her happiness, so our relationship is not there. And the loss of my job, so it was those three things that actually just brought me down, got me to depression, and that the fact that I woke up, every morning when I used to wake up, I made sure I go smoke, so that kept me going. So I didn't have that availability anymore, where I could wake up and go buy me something, so not having money, my relationship going down a spiral, me not being a father to my kids, me not having that relationship with my mother, and drugs being a problem, just brought me down, just brought me depressed. The only person that was really there for me was my dad. Yeah.
So once you lost your job, what did you do for money to actually get money?
Okay, luckily I was working for good company, so I got my, okay, not my UIF, the Provident Fund, and I went to CCMA and they paid me out. So that was my last burst of money that I had, and since then, after that money, like I was lost. Because before I got a job, I had all these plans where to get money, how to get money. I used to do tests for self-compost. So before the job, I was okay, but when I got to the job, I left all those things behind. So after when I lost the job, I was like lost, I didn't know which way, and I didn't want to steal. It was the last thing on my mind, to go home and go steal and put myself again into trouble with my father, because our relationship was actually building. It's like now it's on the best way.
So you said this is the second time you injured, right?
I can say so. For me, it's like the first time because, yeah.
So do you picture your life like clean from drugs? Like do you feel that you can be clean after this? Living a stable life, getting yourself a job again?
You know, people mean,
Yes.
I do, I admit that I will not go back to drugs again, although it is difficult. I don't want to be now bold and say I'm not going to use drugs, because you don't know what the world holds for you. It's tough outside, like I know a lot of guys that's been in and out of the year, wanting to change, and then it just gets one hit and it destroys. So I don't want to go back, I don't look back into life. I want to stay strong, I want to build my relationship with God. God has kept me going through the time of addiction. He's been there for me, he gave me joy while I was on drugs. He made plans for me. He gave me 3 beautiful daughters. So I want to be a better father to my children. I want to be a better person to myself. I want to grow with the Lord. And I don't want to do drugs. I want to have a good job. I want to have a house for my children and my girlfriend.
What is the biggest lesson that you've learned in life?
I don't think I've learned a big lesson yet, but the biggest one I'm learning now is that I need to appreciate what I have. Because I had something good, really good with my parents, and I had work, like the job I was working was part-time, but it was like a full-time job the way it paid. And I still had time left over, and I was just wasting time. So I guess it would be to appreciate what I have, and to make the best use of my time.
So you're still in contact with your family?
With my mom and my dad, yes.
You're still in contact with them?
Yeah, it's getting there. Like we're getting to a good place. If I can finish this program, I guess they will have a lot of faith in me.
So Josh, can you just take me through your, like maybe a Tuesday, like a normal day in your life currently?
Here at rehab?
Yes.
Okay, so Tuesday, we don't really do anything.
Or just any random day?
But I mean, what we normally do is, and which is also hard, we don't really stick to it all the time, but we try to. We wake up in the morning, we do a devotion, we have prayer, and then we eat, we clean the place, and then myself, what I normally do is in my spare time I read. And yeah, other than that, I'm more maybe come past and get us work, where we go and work by someone. That's a Tuesday. there's not really that much that we do here besides. And I think that's a good thing, because I come from a rehab where everything you do, you get told to do, and you're behind four walls, which doesn't really give you a chance to test yourself. But here, it's totally different. If I want to walk out and go and buy drugs down the road, yeah, I can. You know what I'm saying? It sounds bad, but it should be that way. Like, it should be up to me, because I can stay at TAG for 4 years and I can leave one day and a girl can upset me and I can just relapse and 4 years has gone down the drain. Whereas if I'm here, if I do it here, I know, okay, I'm not ready for this. But if I can withstand this thing here, then I know I'm ready, and nothing can make me go back to it, because I withstood it here.
Would you consider yourself to be courageous?
In a certain sense. Depends on what it is.
But I think you're courageous for actually taking that first step and actually being here, because I'm sure it's not easy actually being here.
I'm kind of forced to be here. So it is easy, but I don't know. I think the courageous part would be going back and trying to fix what I had before, or start something new. Because that's the scary part. Like, I don't know what's the next step. Although I have a plan, I have a vision, it's still scary, and it's going to take a lot of courage for me to get this thing done.
Addiction, the opposite of addiction is not sobriety. The opposite of addiction is to be connected to a gift and a talent. And what I see these guys go through after they've gone through the process is to be linked to their talent and to their gift. And that should sustain them. If your gift is to be a carpenter, it will make room for you. The Bible says that your gift will make room for you and bring you before greatness. And I always know that everybody comes in with a different plan. God has a different plan for each one of them. So when they leave here, they must go and find themselves into addiction. There's no way out but through Christ. That's it.
Morvin, just in closing, what advice, since you've been through this, what advice would you give to people out there that's going through this drug abuse and they don't have any way out, and they feel like they lost? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, you know, when you're in addiction, it feels like there is no way out. But what I can say is that there is a way out. To the families out there, I would say that keep on pushing on. Don't give up on the individual. You know, it is in God's timing that things do change. Sometimes we want them to change in our own time, but God has the ultimate say at the end of the day. So I would say to the still suffering addict, I don't like to call them addicts, but that's how the world perceives them, as still suffering addicts. I would say that when help comes your way, you know, don't be too blind to actually realize or see that there's a hand that wants to lend a help to you. So it is possible. Change is possible. You know, you might not know what is locked up within you. You know, when we are in addiction, we don't see it is a mental imprisonment that we are in. But I want to say this, that with God, all things are possible. All things are possible. And as much as we think that it will never happen, or, you know, it's difficult, you know, that no one cares, there is someone out there that is praying for you. And because of those prayers, one day God will step in and just snatch you out of the hands of the enemy. So for me it was difficult. It was difficult walking into a center because I had a wife, I had kids, and what made it even more difficult, I had to provide. But until I came to the realization that I could not be what God has called me to be. You know, I could not be the father, I could not be the husband until I had to give completely over to Him. You know, my wife was a very prayerful person. She prayed and she trusted God. But until then, it was all in God's timing. You know, for me, it was also difficult being innocent and not knowing what my wife, what they are eating and what they're going through. And I made this promise to God. I said, Lord, I'll take care of your business if you take care of my business. And from there, my journey in recovery became much more easy because I came to a point where I had to just give myself over to God. So
stay that way. So I would say exactly what I said just now. Appreciate what you have and make the best of it. Because the time we have now is, you get one life. So this rehab thing is not an addiction thing, I don't think. For me, it's deeper than that. It's so much more. You learn so much here. No matter where you are, which rehab, you're with guys that are here, that are doing drugs for 20 years, 26, 27 years. If it takes me 9 months to realize that I must stop doing drugs, then there's something wrong with me. Like, I need to know now that I'm done with this thing.
Well, thank you so much, Josh, for speaking with me. I really appreciate it, and I'm wishing you all the best for your future and actually your journey.
Thank you so much for sharing.